Hello, it's Trading Physicist here, and I wanted to show you how to use the REST API in Binance using the requests module in Python. So why not use already made libraries? Well, I used Python-Binance before, and the other one, I can't remember what it was. The problem with them is that the post requests didn't work, which are for creating orders. There were many errors, and the docs were kind of unclean. I couldn't make out what to use to download the candles, etc., etc. So I thought about learning how to write my own functions using the get requests, and I've gained the knowledge to do it. I've tested it; it does work, and I'm going to share it with you if you're having the same problems as me. So we need the requests module. We do pip install requests, which is going to install a library that allows us to use HTTP requests with Python, and we're not using the native library because I think there is one. Wait, import HTTP. Yeah, there is one, but hasn't got as much support, and it isn't as modern as the request library. So you import the library just installed. Request is going to Well, the import statement takes the code from that and puts it in front of the whole code you're writing. Um, so we're importing requests, Python notation. So how do requests work? You have two types of orders. You have a get request and a post request. Post request, it is utilized uh, to do market orders, and get requests are used to get, as the name suggests, data from the web. And we want to use the get request. To use the get requests, you specify requests dot get, and then you have the parameters. The first one is URL, which is a string, and it is required. As you see, the param URL, there's a request. It's a URL for the new request object because that function returns an object that has been defined in the requests module. And the other parameters are optional, as you can see in these brackets, optional. So you have to specify a URL. Now, what's the URL and what does it do? The get function goes to that URL, downloads data, puts it into an object, which is a response object, and returns that object. So if something returns an object, you have to specify a variable that holds it. So response, resp is short for response, I use that a lot, is request to get URL. Now that URL is underscore because we haven't defined it yet. It has to be the path to our data endpoint. And since this is a tutorial for Binance, we go to a site called binance.com/n/Binance API. Or you can do the HTTPS in front. I will paste that link in the description. That's all the docs that are for the API. So we go into spot trading, press spot, close the order tab, change there's the change, you don't need it. You go into REST API because that's what allows us to use the REST interface of HTTP, which is we ask for a response, we get a response. Not like it's synchronous. We have to send a request to get a response. There's also a thing as WebSocket, which allows the exchange to send us responses continuously, but that's for another video. So we go to general API information first, and we see the following base endpoints are available. Please use whichever works best for your setup. And we have these links. I have tested all of them, and it turns out the base one is actually the fastest. API Binance.com. Just copy it and make a variable. This URL is the base endpoint. We do not redefine it. It stays constant. We define it as a constant, and constants in Python are defined with uppercase letters. I mean, it isn't an error, but it's just in convention. Base underscore URL is equal to string. Is going to be a string. because if you paste it without the quotes, you know, it's just going to throw errors. So now we define the URL we're seeking. The URL has to be the specific path to the price endpoint. So URL is the base URL, because that's the prefix to our second part, which is also going to be a string. And we go to there, we go to market data endpoints, because we want to get the price and the candles. We see there's an order book, there's recent trades list. We don't need that, we need price. So there's a list on the right side, and you see K-line candlestick data that's going to be downloaded in the future in the second part. But I want to go for trading day ticker, no, symbol price ticker. Symbol price ticker, that's the price, the current price of the coin. And we see the euros /API /v3 /ticker /price. Copy that, paste it in here, API /v3 ticker price. And this code will return https API binance.com /that. That's what we want. Now, the price thing without any parameters, something, I don't even know if it will return anything, because we haven't specified the coin or coins we need to get the price for. So parameters in the requests and in HTTP are, you append something onto the string, you append the parameters list onto the string, which starts with an question mark, param1 is equal to something, and then if you want to pass in another parameter, you press the ampersand, which is shift+7 on your QWERTY keyboard, and you say param2 is something else. That's the general like scheme for inputting parameters in here. So question mark and parameters. Now what parameters do we need? Obviously there's a coin parameter, right? Look at the side and we see, wait, parameter, symbol. Symbols provided 1. Now there we see symbol is a string parameter. Symbol is the name of the parameter, is equal to, you press the equal sign, no space bars or anything, and we specify the symbol, which is BTC USDT. Let's say we want to download for Bitcoin, but that sort of syntax is not very good, because if I utilize that link like 20 times in our code and then I want to change to Ethereum, I have to change 20 lines of code, right? We need to make it dynamically. We could append it like plus symbol and define the symbol to be like BTC USDT, also a string, and this would work, but a better option is to make this an F string, which is a formatted string, and that F prefix before the string allows us to put in parameters in curly braces. So you put curly braces, you say symbol, see how it highlighted it into yellow and white? But if I delete the F, it's just going to be a normal string, but the F makes it a formatted string. Now, so we have the endpoint. There are no other parameters. You don't end the parameters by like an X or something. You just leave it. And we have responses request.get URL. Now, what will it give us? Print response. Clear? Let's see what it prints. It prints response to 100. Now that is an object indicated by the triangular braces, angled braces, or whatever you call it in English. I'm not a native. That response is a response object as specified. If I hover over that, get returns a response object. So to get like a dictionary, because that's what we're going to get, we specify .json. It returns a JSON like a JSON object, but in Python JSON is interpreted as dictionary, which is allowing us to print it and see what it actually prints. It prints a dictionary by these curly braces and the colons. Symbol is Bitcoin USDT, the price is something. Now, when that is a dictionary, you have keys and values. Here the key is symbol, and there the key is price. So we want to get price for the symbol. So actually, let me make a new variable. Price is equal to that response. And in a dictionary notation, you can either use get price, or you can just use the square brackets price, and this will return a price. Now if you print the price, you will get the price only. Now that dictionary, you may ask, why not simply return the price solely from that response? Why would Binance use that notation? But if you're using multiple symbols, like, I don't know, 10 symbols in your bot, then you want to be able to handle them independently. The JSON function and the response specifically returns price as a string, which we could see by printing price plus 10. It won't work. Yeah, it throws an error. And the error is can only concatenate string, not int to string. Concatenation is adding the strings together, like we did here, base URL plus a string. So we can't use string plus integer. We have to convert the price to a floating point number. So we do float response price. If I play it now, it prints this thing around it because this it got rid of the zeros. We see the price changed when I was calling these functions. And we even can add like 10 print price. So what I'm doing here is I'm first printing price and then I'm going to print price plus 10. So we're expecting to get two prices here. There's the normal price and there's the price plus 10 increased by that point by 10, which is what we expected. So that's how you get price in Binance. Now let me go to calling for candles. Now candles are a lot more complicated. I mean, not a lot more complicated, but more complicated because you have more parameters. You have the symbol, which is our symbol that we used here, for example. We have the symbol. Then we have the time frame because you have to specify what time frame you want the candles to be in. Is it a 5-minute time frame, 15-minute time frame? Then we have to know how many candles we'd like to download. So let's just go to that. Let me just copy all that because that's going to be mostly reused. So we import requests, we specify the base URL from the site, we get the symbol to be a set symbol. You can even change this to, I don't know, Ethereum. And the Binance symbol notation is the base asset, the quote asset, which is USDT in that example, without any underscores or dashes. If you're using crypto.com, for example, I've been writing a lot of code in crypto.com a while ago, you would need to be using Ethereum underscore USDT, and this creates problems when you want to include all the cryptocurrencies in your bots because you have to know different notations, etc. Because each exchange returns something else in a different manner. And we will see what Binance does with candles, which I don't like that much, but you will see what I mean. And CryptoCode does that a little better with the API. We delete that because it's no more a ticker price. We leave the API v3 because that's actually something that occurs always. We go to the market data endpoint. We go to K-line candlestick data. Get API v3 K-lines. That's the URL. Now, what will the parameters be? Question mark and the curly braces for the parameters. The parameters, we go. Parameters. Name. Symbol. Symbol is equal to. And we put the symbol in. And then we do the ampersand, the shift plus 7, the end sign. Interval. It's an enum, which means it cannot be anything. It has a set value. And it is mandatory. Interval is equal to another curly braces. I'll actually count it interval for the simplicity in this video. And it's an enum. It has only set values. Supported K-line intervals. These are the enums. For seconds, you may only ask for 1-second intervals. The minutes have to use a lowercase m, as the months use the uppercase m, but it's only 1 month available. You can't ask for 3-month long candles. So I think I'm going to go for 5 minutes, 5m, not min. Some exchanges do actually use min interval. Then we will download some candles, but how many? If you scroll back to the parameters, you've got that the limit, which is the amount of candles, is the limit parameter. It's not mandatory, you don't have to specify it, but the default is 500. If I requested it, I get 500 candles. You probably need like one or 50 at most. Or if you're calculating some moving averages, then like 200 would be your default base for the long period moving average. So it will use 500 by default, and the maximum is 1000. But I actually want to ask for 5. So let's specify limit, a limit variable. I think it should be called count or amount, not a limit. It's kind of misleading, that name. But I specify it to 10. And limit is equal to the f string thing, limit. That's going to put the 10 in here. Now what are the other parameters? Start time, not mandatory, we don't have to specify it. End time, not mandatory. It's the timestamp of the starting candle and the timestamp of the ending candle. But calculating it dynamically, using the start time, end time, and the seconds, etc., and like the time module would be so time consuming that it's just wonderful that they've allowed us to use the limit parameter. I love it. And then there's the time zone. I don't think you are going to specify that unless you want some custom candle time zones. So limit. We've got 3 parameters. Now we get response is equal to requests get URL. Response is response.json. Now, if we print the response, we get the thing that I said about Binance, which I don't like. They're putting a list of candles, which is good, but it's a list of lists. So then I think it should be a dictionary, because if you look at it without checking the docs and you say, well, which price, which number is which? We've got 1, number, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I think there's 12 of them, with the 0 at the end being to be omitted. We've got so many numbers. Now, which one is which? Well, there's a notation in algorithmic trading. It is the OHLC notation, open, high, low, close. Binance thankfully respected that, but there are many cryptocurrency exchanges where you will get like open, close, high, low, which is going to mix up with that. So I think they should use a list of dictionaries instead of a list of lists. Now, if you scroll down from the K-line characteristic data to for the K-line intervals, even lower, notes, even lower, response. Now we get it explained. There's the open time, which is the timestamp of the candlestick. So we see there's the timestamp of the first candle, there's the timestamp of the second candle. Now, which candle in that list is the newest one and which is the oldest? Well, the newest one, let me tell you, is the last one, which is actually good. It's done chronologically. Some cryptocurrency exchanges actually reverse it. So the newest candle is the first one, index 0, and the oldest is the last one. But I prefer that notation. Binance done it right. So that's the last candle, second to last candle, and then that's the newest candle. And the newest candle actually gets updated with time, so it's not even finished yet. So if you want to work on only closed candles, you have to do response.pop -1. With -1, you're specifying the, index 0 is the first one, -1 is the last index of the candle. That's how you want to program your bots. -1, -2 are the candles going backwards, where -1 is the last one. It's not like -0, it's -1. And if you pop it, which means you remove the list from the bigger list. So I just removed the last candle, but I want to keep it in. And now that timestamp is in, I think, milliseconds since the epoch. The second is the older than the first, so that means the last one is the oldest. It's good. Now, how do we format the data so we return the opens, the highs, the closes, and all that? Well, if you do response, we want to get a single candle. Let's say we want to get the newest candle, so -1, as I told you. And then the second list, because we will get a list from that. And it's actually going to be, I don't know, closing price. Closing. So if I don't specify the second index and we print closing, we will get a list. It is a single list. Then if I specify the second index, which is going to be the closing price, open time, open, high, low, close, open, high, low, close. Then there's the volume in the base asset, which is the BTC. Then there's the closing time of the candle. There's the quote asset volume, which is the amount of USDT, not the BTC. That's here. That's the quote asset volume. Then you get number of trades done in that interval. These I don't know what they do, but they have to mean something. I never use them. And that's a field you don't use. As they say, ignore it. For example, the closing price. Its index, that's the 0. We count from 0 in Python. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And if you print the closing, is the closing price. But again, printing the closing price, it prints the string because that was in quotes. As you see, prices are in quotes and the timestamps are direct integers. So we want to make it a float. So closing is a float of the response. Now if you play it, it's going to cut these zeros off, yes, as I expected. And that's the closing price. You can do arithmetics on so closing plus 10. And let's say it's your take profit, right? $10 higher. So that's if that increases, see? That's how you download right, print closing. That's how you download price and candles of the exchange. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and cheers. Have a nice day.